Welcome to the Sky Commander Flight Brief. It's your mission-ready podcast for drone pilot training and aerial insights across Canada.
From Transport Canada rules to real-world drone ops, we break it down, take you higher, and help you earn your wings. Because here at skycommander.ca, we don't just fly.
It hints there's more to it. It's a masterclass, a deeper level, maybe a philosophy or a community focus, perhaps.
It's definitely intriguing, sets them apart from just, a basic tips show. Skycommander.ca is the obvious next step. Precisely. If you're thinking about flying a drone in Canada, boom, this content is aimed right at you.
Powered by skycommander.ca.
The elite podcast for Canada's drone pilot. Okay, let's get started.
I want you to picture a scenario. It's a Tuesday afternoon. You're a drone pilot. You've spent the last 3 hours at just a stunning location. Let's say it's a high-end vineyard. The lighting is that perfect late afternoon golden hour.
Oh yeah, the money light.
Exactly. And you are flying your heart out. You have captured what you, in your heart, believe is cinematic gold. I'm talking sweeping vistas, complex 3-axis movements where you're panning and tilting at the same time, all while orbiting a clock tower. The stuff that makes you feel like you are filming the opening for a James Bond movie.
The hero shot. We all chase it. We all want it.
We all want it. So you get home, you dump the footage. You spend, 4 hours in DaVinci Resolve, color grading it to perfection.
Yeah.
You add the perfect cinematic letterbox bars. You sync it to this swelling epic orchestral music. You send the Dropbox link to the client with a little note. You are going to love this. And then?
Crickets.
The dreaded silence. The inbox ghost town. You wait a day, 2 days. Finally, you check their Instagram on Friday. You're expecting to see your masterpiece. And what do you see?
Oh, I know what you see.
You see a shaky, vertical video. It was taken by the receptionist on like an iPhone 14. That shows a glass of wine being poured with some trending pop song slapped over it.
And it has 10,000 views.
10,000 views.
Oh.
So my question is why? Why did your masterpiece fail?
It's such a painful realization, and I've honestly seen seasoned pilots quit over this exact thing. It usually happens because the pilot is operating with a filmmaker mindset.
Right.
They're trying to win an Oscar. But the client is operating with a feed the beast mindset.
Feed the beast.
Yeah. They aren't looking for art. They're looking to plug a hole in their content calendar at 4 p.m. because the algorithm demands a daily sacrifice.
That is a brutal way to put it. But that disconnect is exactly what we're unpacking today, isn't it?
It's everything.
We are diving deep into a concept that really flips the script on how drone pilots make money and, maybe more importantly, how brands actually get content they can use. We're calling it the social media micro mission.
It's a great term, micro mission. It sounds tactical, doesn't it? Very intentional.
It does, but I have to play devil's advocate right out of the gate here. Most of us, we got into drones because of the epicness.
Of course.
We watch those YouTube videos of Iceland and Norway. We want to be filmmakers. So isn't telling us to focus on micro missions, which, let's be honest, sounds frankly a bit small, isn't that kind of killing the soul of the hobby?
I completely understand that reaction. I really do. It feels like I'm asking you to trade in a Ferrari for a delivery van.
A very boring delivery van.
Right. But here's the reality. The Ferrari is fun on weekends. The delivery van pays the mortgage. The micro mission is not about being the world's best pilot doing loop-de-loops through a burning hoop. It's about being the most reliable pilot, the one who delivers files that a stressed-out social media manager can actually physically use on their phone. It's about building a repeatable, low-drama content engine.
So we are shifting from selling art to selling utility.
Precisely. Think of it this way. You're becoming a brand's weekly content plumber, not their occasional fireworks show.
Content plumber, I like that.
You want to be the utility bill they pay every single month because they literally cannot function without you. If you're the fireworks show, they hire you once a year for the 4th of July.
And then you're forgotten.
You're forgotten. If you're the plumber, they pay you every time the sink clogs. And on social media, the sink is always clogging.
Okay, I can see the financial logic there, even if my inner artist is screaming a little bit. So if you're listening to this and you've got a drone that's gathering dust, or you're trying to turn a hobby into a real paycheck, this deep dive is absolutely for you. We have a massive stack of field guides, safety regulations for both the US and Canada, including some huge 2025 updates that really caught a lot of people off guard. and business models designed specifically for 2026 standards.
Yeah, that Canadian rule change is a big one.
We're going to dismantle the hero video mindset and replace it with a system for recurring revenue.
And we need to get granular today. I don't want to just talk theory. We need to talk specific gear, actual model numbers. We need to talk exact flight patterns, literally how to move the sticks, and even the file naming conventions that will save your sanity and your client relationship.
Let's start with that why. Why is the hero content model failing so many pilots? You mentioned the feed beast, but is it really that simple?
It's what we call the hero trap. Brands, for the most part, do not need one amazing 3-minute cinematic video every 6 months. That's an event.
That's a Super Bowl commercial.
That's a Super Bowl commercial. What they need, their actual day-to-day need, is to feed the algorithm weekly, sometimes daily.
Yeah.
If you only sell hero videos, you get hired when they're excited.
Like for a grand opening.
Exactly, the honeymoon phase. But then they get busy, they get stressed, and they fire you, or more likely they just forget to call you back, because setting up a shoot in their mind feels like this huge production.
It feels like work for them.
It is work for them. It requires permits, casting, maybe blocking off the parking lot. They just don't have the bandwidth for that on a regular basis.
It reminds me of the difference between, say, a wedding photographer and a daily news photographer.
Dawn.
A wedding photographer has to be perfect, but only once. The lighting, the dress, the kids, it all have to be flawless for that one day. A news photographer just has to be there, be reliable, and get the shot out fast.
That is the perfect analogy. The micro mission is about becoming that daily news photographer for a brand. It's a tightly defined operation.
Okay, so define tightly. What are we talking about here?
We are talking about one location, a very short flight window. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes of actual flight time, max.
Wow, that's it.
That's it. A specific shot recipe that you've agreed on beforehand, and this is the most important part, deliverables that are phone editable.
Phone editable. Okay, that's a phrase that kept popping up in the research, and I have to stop you there. Phone editable sounds amateur.
It does, I know.
Are we seriously saying that professional work that we are charging real money for needs to be edited on a phone?
Yes, absolutely. And here's why. It all comes down to the phone editor test.
The what?
The phone editor test. If a social media manager cannot edit your clip using their thumbs while waiting for a latte in a coffee shop, your clip is, for all practical purposes, useless to them.
So no Premiere Pro, no DaVinci Resolve on their end?
Not for the client, no. You have to think about their reality. The person running the social account is probably also the office manager and the person who orders the coffee.
They're wearing 5 other hats.
Exactly. They are not sitting at a dual-monitor desktop color grading log footage. They are on TikTok or Instagram Reels trying to stitch something together in 5 minutes before their next meeting. If your clip requires them to hunt for the good part or stabilize it or, God forbid, color correct it because you shot in a flat profile,
they'll just skip it.
They'll just skip it and use the shaky iPhone video from the receptionist.
So we are looking for clips that are essentially Lego pieces.
Correct. Short, clean, simple blocks. We are talking 4 to 10 seconds.
Wait, 4 seconds? That sounds incredibly short. A standard establishing shot in a movie is usually longer than that, isn't it?
In a movie, yes. On TikTok, 4 seconds is an eternity. And this isn't a compromise. You have to see it as a design feature.
A design feature? How?
Short clips load faster, they scrub smoother on a phone, and they fit modern attention spans. If a clip is 30 seconds long, the drone usually looks like it's just sort of wandering around looking for a subject. A 4-second clip says, this is the place, this is the vibe, boom, it's confident.
Okay, I'm starting to get my head around this. It's really about removing every possible point of friction for the client.
Every single one.
So let's talk about the tools of the trade. Because I feel like a lot of pilots, myself included, we think we need the biggest, baddest drone, the Inspire 3, the heavy lift stuff, to charge professional rates.
Mm-hmm.
But the research suggests that for these micro missions, that's actually a liability.
It absolutely is. In the world of micro missions, gear is not about specs. It's about zero drama.
Zero drama.
You want a platform that is fast to deploy, stable in the air, and crucially, unintimidating to the public. As of 2026, there are really 3 key drones that fit this workflow perfectly, specifically within the DJI ecosystem, though we can touch on alternatives too.
Let's start with the small one then. The research calls it the everyday king, the DJI Mini 4 Pro. Why is this little thing that kind of looks like a toy, why is it the professional choice?
Calling it a toy is actually its superpower. There are 2 main reasons it's the king. First, as you know, it's in that sub 249 gram weight class.
Right. which has regulatory benefits.
It does, but practically it means it's physically smaller, it's quieter, and it's less in the way. If you show up to a coffee shop with a massive Inspire drone, the propellers sound like a lawnmower. Customers get nervous. The manager gets nervous.
Everyone gets nervous.
Everyone gets nervous. The Mini 4 Pro just sort of hums. It looks harmless.
It's stealthy.
It's non-invasive. But the second reason, and this is absolutely crucial for what we're talking about today, is the camera gimbal's rotation. It shoots true vertical video.
Right, so the actual physical camera turns 90 degrees.
Yes. This is a huge distinction from just cropping.
Yeah.
On other drones, you shoot this big, wide horizontal shot, and then in post, you crop out the middle third for a vertical video. You're throwing away 2/3 of your pixels.
And the quality suffers.
The quality tanks. With the Mini 4 Pro, you use the entire sensor. You get a full 4K resolution clip in a 9:16 aspect ratio. That is exactly what social teams want for Reels and TikToks. It's a native format.
But surely there are limitations. I mean, I've flown small drones. The wind pushes them around like a paper plane.
And that is the trade-off. You're absolutely right. It struggles in high winds compared to heavier drones. If you have gusts over, say, 20-25 miles per hour, the Mini 4 Pro is going to be fighting hard, and your battery life will plummet.
And low light.
And the low light performance isn't as robust as a larger 1-inch or a 4/3 sensor, but for a Monday morning post for a local bakery, when the weather is decent, it is unbeatable.
Okay, so let's move up the ladder. The research calls this next one the retainer workhorse, the Air 3S. Now, why would I step up to this if the Mini is so good?
The Air 3S brings something really unique and powerful to the table, that dual camera setup. It has a standard wide lens, but it also has a 70mm medium telephoto lens.
And why does a zoom lens matter for a micro mission? Is it just for, that artistic compression look?
It's partially for the look that compression makes background mountains look huge and majestic, which is cool, but primarily, it's a safety feature.
Explain that. How is a lens a safety feature? That seems counterintuitive.
Okay, think about parallax. If you want a dynamic shot where, say, a sign moves past the background really quickly, you usually have to fly quite close to the line with a wide lens.
And close means danger.
Close means danger. Close means you're one gust of wind away from crashing. With a 70mm lens, you can stand back 50, even 100 feet, and zoom in. The shot looks tight, it looks intimate and detailed, but the drone is physically far away from the building, the wires, and any people.
Wow. So you're getting the intimacy of a close-up without the risk of proximity.
You're buying yourself a buffer zone. That's what it is. It's safety through optics.
That is huge. Okay, and then we have the big gun, the Mavic 3 Pro.
This is what we're calling the premium option. It has that triple camera system, the Hasselblad color science. You buy this if you need cinema credibility or if you're doing those higher-end campaigns where the client is sophisticated enough to demand 10-bit color and maximum dynamic range.
But there's a caveat in the source material, something about the Mavic 4 Pro.
Ah, yes, the availability note. Glad you brought that up.
What was that about?
Reports in 2025 suggested some availability complications in the U.S. for the Mavic 4 line due to trade restrictions and supply chain issues. Now, the lesson here isn't about the politics of it all.
Wow.
The lesson is about business continuity. Do not build your entire business model on a piece of hardware that you can't easily replace.
That's a really good point.
If you crash your drone on a Tuesday, you need to be able to drive to Best Buy and buy a replacement on Wednesday so you can fly your retainer mission on Thursday. If your super specialized drone takes 6 weeks to ship from Shenzhen, you are effectively out of business.
That's a very practical tip.
Yeah.
Now, what if someone is, allergic to the DJI ecosystem? Is there a viable alternative?
The Autel EVO Lite Plus is a really strong contender. It's got a great 1-inch sensor, and it has an adjustable aperture, which is actually quite rare on smaller drones. But again, the warning here is about support. Only go this route if you know you can get parts and batteries and service locally. If you're waiting 3 weeks for a set of propellers, you're losing money every day.
Okay, let's talk accessories. Because the research mentions a few things that I wouldn't normally equate with cinematography, but it says they are essential for creating systems.
Absolutely. And first up on that list, ND filters.
Sunglasses for the drone.
Essentially, yes. But we aren't just using them for that cinematic purity, that perfect 180-degree shutter rule, motion blur that filmmakers obsess over.
So why are we using them?
We use them to stop the footage from looking jittery. Brands hate that strobe light effect you get when the shutter speed is way too high in bright sun. It looks crisp, but in a bad, harsh way.
Right.
ND filters keep the motion looking natural and smooth, which makes the final phone edit look much higher quality.
And then there's the card wallet. This seems so incredibly minor, but the research makes a huge deal about the face-down, face-up rule. Is this just, being obsessive?
It's the difference between a professional and an amateur who loses a client's footage. It is a dead simple system. Fresh, empty cards go face up in the wallet. Used cards with data on them go face down.
So you can see at a glance what is safe to format.
Instantly. It prevents that absolute nightmare scenario of formatting a card that had the morning's entire shoot on it because you thought you'd already downloaded it. It creates a physical failsafe in the field when you're tired or distracted or in a hurry.
I love that. It's so simple. And cones.
Yeah.
We're talking about literal orange traffic cones.
Cones or a landing pad. These serve two critical purposes. One, yes, they keep dust and debris out of your motors, which extends the life of the drone. But two, and this is far more important, they signal active operation.
It's like a psychological force field.
It is. When you put out a couple of small orange cones, pedestrians instinctively walk around you. It stops the random, hey, is that a drone? How high can it go? Conversations while you are trying to concentrate on a complex maneuver.
Right in the middle of a shot.
Exactly. It buys you a workspace. It signals to the public, I am working, please do not disturb. It's professional.
It's amazing how a $5 plastic cone can give you so much authority. Okay, let's unpack this idea of fly it in your sleep. We've got the gear. Now we need to know how to fly. The source material talks about something called the pattern principle.
This is so critical. Fixed geometry beats pilot talent every single time. If you cannot describe the math of your shot, the radius, the speed, the height, then you are just improvising.
And improvising brings risk.
Improvising brings risk. So we're not jazz musicians here. We are classical musicians playing sheet music.
I like that. So the goal is to have these pre-planned, repeatable moves.
That's the goal. We have 4 core patterns that honestly cover about 90% of what a brand will ever need for their social feed.
Let's walk through them. Pattern number 1. The clean orbit.
This is the classic, right? A controlled circle around a subject. But here is where so many pilots mess it up. They try to fly too tight, or they try to adjust their speed mid-flight to make it look dynamic.
They want that whipping action.
And that's where you hit a tree or lose your signal. The micromission approach is what we call the boring radius. Keep it wide.
Boring radius.
Imagine a string connecting your drone to the subject. Keep that string tight and long. You can always crop in post-production. Remember, we're shooting 4K or 5.3K for a tiny phone screen. You can crop pixels, but you cannot crop out a crash.
So mechanically, on the sticks, what are we actually doing to achieve that smoothness?
You are holding a single, steady input. That's the secret. For a clockwise orbit, it's left stick slightly left for yaw, right stick slightly right for roll, and you just hold it. If you find yourself constantly wiggling the sticks to correct your path, you are too close. Back up, make the radius wider, and simplify the inputs.
Pattern number 2, the reveal pullback.
This one is great for establishing a location. You start focused on the logo or the front door, nice and tight, and you pull back and up to show the context. The mountains, the street, the sunset.
And the sources mentioned a very specific safety check for this one. The reverse lane.
Yes, this is non-negotiable. Reversing is infinitely harder than going forward because you don't have eyes in the back of your head, or the drone's head for that matter. You need to ensure your reverse lane is completely clear of trees, wires, and poles before you ever start the move.
So you check before you fly.
You fly the path forward first, slowly, visually clearing it. Then you reset to your starting point and fly it backward for the actual shot. And that shot has to answer the question, where is this? In the very first second. That's what we call the identity frame.
The identity frame, I like that. Okay, pattern number 3, top-down spin or slide.
This one creates a map view. It's very graphic, very design-heavy. It turns the world into a 2-dimensional canvas, which social media algorithms seem to love.
But there is a huge safety note here in the research, a major one.
Huge. And we have to be crystal clear about this. Top-down does not mean flying directly over people. Do not fly over the crowd at the farmer's market just to get a cool pattern of heads. That is illegal in most places and incredibly dangerous everywhere.
So what are we looking for?
You're looking for the canvas. Find empty parking rows, a graphically interesting rooftop, water, a field of wheat. You want the geometry, not the liability.
And finally, pattern number 4. The walk-in track.
This one mimics the customer experience. You are flying toward the entrance just like a person walking in. It feels very welcoming.
But wait, if I'm flying toward the entrance, aren't I flying over the path where people are actually walking? That sounds like a direct violation of what we just said.
That's the trap. That's the amateur mistake. If you fly directly over the sidewalk, you are endangering pedestrians. The trick is what the field guide calls the offset corridor.
Offset corridor.
You do not fly on the path. You fly over the grass or the landscaping next to the path.
But won't the shot look off-center then?
You just angle the camera, you yaw it slightly at the path. Because of the wide lens on these drones, it creates the feeling, the illusion of walking down the path. But the physical drone is safely over the bushes.
Wow.
It creates the illusion of proximity without the risk of decapitating a customer.
That is such a pro tip. Illusion of proximity.
That is the whole game right there.
So we've flown the mission. Now we have a card full of files. And here's where it gets really interesting for the editors out there and the people who have to deliver the content. We need to talk about deliverables. Creating those Lego pieces.
Right. Remember, our stressed social media manager, they need clean cut points. So we follow the single move rule.
One clip, one move.
One clip equals one move, no looking around, no panning left, then tilting up, then zooming in, all in one clip.
So the structure should be stable start lap, steady move, stable end.
Exactly. And we call those stable parts handles. You need a stable moment at the beginning and end, say 1 to 2 seconds. So the editor has a clean place to dissolve or cut. If you start the clip while you're still correcting the gimbal, or if you cut the recording the second the move is done, that clip is basically trash. It's unusable.
And the no rescue discipline? I know I struggle with this. I always think I can fix that little bump in post.
This is a hard one for our egos. If you drift off course mid-flight, or if you hit a little bump of wind, do not try to smooth it out and save the shot. It never looks good.
So just land it and do it again.
Delete it on the spot, refly it. If you hand a client a clip that wobbles, they won't trust you. They'll think, oh, the pilot struggled today. You want them to think you are a machine, that every shot is perfect.
Now, this next part might sound tedious, but the research calls it a secret weapon. And that's file naming.
Oh, this is the hill I will die on. This is so important. Imagine you are that stressed marketing manager again. It is 4:58 p.m. on a Friday. You need to post something for the weekend. You are not looking for art. You are searching your hard drive.
And if the file is named DJI004.mp4, good luck finding it.
Exactly. It might as well not exist. It is data garbage. But if the file is named Harbor Hotel 226001 or Bits and Set BB Take 01, you are a hero.
Okay, let's break that down. You've got the client name, the date.
Harbor Hotel, the date in year, month, day format, so it sorts chronologically.
The shot type, orbit, the subject sunset, and what's the V?
V for vertical. That searchable reliability is customer service. It allows them to just type sunset or vertical into their computer's search bar and get the asset instantly. It sounds boring, but this is what gets you hired back because you made their life easy.
It's incredible. You're effectively becoming their digital asset manager as well as their pilot.
You are. And that Takeo 1 at the end implies there might be a Takeo 2. It implies selection. It implies you thought about it and gave them the best one.
We can't talk about drones without talking about safety and regulations. The brochure seems remarkably structured. It's called the APOWG checklist.
APOWG. It's a mnemonic to keep you from rushing. The myth is that speed comes from rushing. It doesn't. Speed comes from being predictable and methodical.
So walk us through APOWG. I want to really get this.
Okay. A is for airspace. You check this before you even unpack the drone. Are you in controlled airspace? Do you have LANC authorization? You check the apps, autopilot, air control, whatever you use. If the answer is no, it's a no-go. Full stop. P is for people. You physically scan the environment. Where can people walk out from? Doors, sidewalks, from between parked cars. You aren't just looking for people who are present now. You are looking for people potential.
That's a key distinction.
The huge one. Next, O is for obstacles. Find the tallest thing in your flight area and then find the blind obstacles.
What exactly is a blind obstacle?
Wires. Thin guy wires on telephone poles, the power drops to houses, bare tree branches in winter. These things are functionally invisible on a small phone screen when you're flying.
So how do you find them? You can't see them.
You find the poles. This is the trick. If you see two poles, you must assume there is a wire between them, even if you can't physically see it. And you treat that entire slice of air as a solid wall, a no-fly zone.
That's a great rule. Okay, moving on.
W. W is for wind, but not just at ground level where you're standing. The wind at 100 feet is often double the wind speed at 5 feet. You look at the tops of the tallest trees. Are they swaying gently, or are they thrashing? That tells you what the air is like up there. G is for go, no go. And this is the most important part psychologically. You have to state your abort trigger out loud.
Saying it out loud seems a little weird. Doesn't really help.
It breaks the get-there-itis, that pressure to get the shot no matter what. You say, if a person walks onto that patio, we abort. Or if the wind gusts like that again, we abort. It creates a verbal contract with yourself so that when the stress of the moment hits, you've already made the decision. You just execute it.
Now, one of the biggest traps mentioned in the field guide is something called the freshness tax. This fascinated me. What is it?
This is where experienced pilots get themselves into trouble. You've been flying the same location every week for your retainer client. You get bored. You want to make it look fresh. So what do? You start flying lower. You fly closer to the building. You fly tighter to the people to get more energy in the shot.
You trade your safety margin for novelty.
Perfectly said. You trade safety for novelty. And that is a tax you will eventually pay with a crash. The solution is to pay the freshness tax with variables, not with proximity.
Give me an example of that. What does that mean in practice?
Okay, let's say you're filming a hotel. Instead of flying 5 feet from the window, which is dangerous, you fly the exact same safe orbit, but you change the time of day. If you fly the orbit pattern at 9 a.m., the shadows are long and hard and pointing west. If you fly that exact same math, same radius, same height at golden hour, the warm light is hitting the face of the building. To the algorithm and the viewer, it looks like a completely different video, but your safety risk hasn't changed by a single inch. Change the altitude, change the lens, change the time, but never, ever shrink your safety bubble.
That is fantastic advice. Now, we have listeners in both the U.S. and Canada, and the regulations are different, but the physics are the same. Let's get into the regulatory reality, particularly those massive 2025 updates.
Right. First, the universal rule that applies everywhere, visual line of sight, VLOS. This is non-negotiable in both countries. You cannot fly behind a building just to get a cool reveal shot. If you can't see the drone with your own eyes, you are flying illegally, period.
And the big one, operations over people.
In the U.S., under Part 107, it is generally prohibited unless you meet very specific complex categories. Category 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's complicated. But basically, unless you have a tiny drone with prop guards that weighs almost nothing or a specific parachute system and a declaration of compliance, the default answer is don't do it.
Okay, but there is a massive update for Canada that hit in April 2025 regarding advertised events. This seems like a huge trap for new pilots.
It is a huge gotcha. For years, Canadian pilots with micro drones, those under 250 grams, operated with a lot of freedom. But as of April 1st, 2025, Transport Canada closed that loophole.
So what's the new rule?
Even if you are flying a sub-250-gram microdrone, you now require an SFOC, a Special Flight Operations Certificate, to fly at any advertised event.
Define advertised event for us.
A concert, a street festival, a parade, a grand opening for a business. If there is a poster, a Facebook event invitation, or a scheduled time and place where people are invited to gather, it's considered an advertised event.
So you can't just show up to a street festival with a Mini 4 Pro and say, I'm micro, I'm exempt.
Correct. That exemption is gone in that specific context. You now need to apply for an SFOC, sometimes weeks in advance, outlining your detailed safety plan, your emergency procedures, and proving you have liability insurance. It turns a spontaneous flight into a fully permitted professional operation.
That is a game changer. Listeners in Canada, you really need to take note of that. And for the U.S., remote ID is now fully the standard, right?
Yeah, it's your drone's license plate. If you are doing commercial work, your drone must be broadcasting its ID. Most modern DJI drones do this automatically, but if you're flying older gear, you need to buy and attach a broadcast module. There are no excuses anymore.
One distinction the host makes is between airspace rules and local rules. This confuses a lot of people.
It really does. Just because the FAA or Transport Canada says the air is clear, say it's Class G airspace, that doesn't mean the ground is open for you to use.
Right.
A no drone zone sign at a city park usually means you cannot launch or land from that grass. It's a trespassing bylaw, not an aviation rule.
So you could technically be legal in the air, but get arrested for trespassing on the ground.
Exactly. National parks like Banff or Yellowstone are the prime example. They are generally no-go zones for commercial launch without very specific, very hard-to-get permits. Don't be the person who gets a $5,000 fine for launching in a national park.
Let's pivot to the money. This is the part everyone really wants to know. How do we turn this safe, boring flying into an actual business? the retainer model.
This requires a huge mindset shift. You have to stop selling I can film, your nephew can film, everyone can film.
So what are you selling?
You start selling I remove your content anxiety. The promise you make to a brand is this: you will not be scrambling for content on Monday morning. It will just be there in your inbox, ready to go.
And how do you price that? Is it per video?
No, you should avoid per video pricing for these micro missions. It just leads to scope creep and arguments. You package it. So layer A is cadence. This is the boring weekly stuff. Maybe 3 micro missions a month. That keeps the feed alive. You charge a flat monthly fee for this, say anywhere from $500 to $1,500, depending on your market.
And layer B?
Layer B is campaigns. These are the spikes. Seasonal launches, big events, the stuff that requires more planning. You charge differently for those. You might have a day rate or a project rate.
And the contract. The research mentions a one-pager. Is that realistic?
Yes. Keep it simple. Define the unit. 1 micromission equals 1 location plus 1 shot system. And this is key. You define the guardrails. You put that fixed standoff distance in the contract.
You write no safety creep into the legal document.
You literally put in the contract: pilot will not fly closer than X meters to structures or people for the safety of all parties. It sets the expectation that safety is a feature you provide, not a bug you have to work around. It makes you look more professional, not less.
I love that. Let's get into the specific shot systems, or recipes, as the guide calls them. The research outlines 4 distinct systems. System 1 is Monday morning.
The goal here is simple. We are open for business. It's Pavlovian. The customer sees that shot of the coffee shop and they know the business is ready for them. The recipe is simple. An establishing wide shot, where are we? A signage reveal, who are we? And an entrance glide, come on in.
System 2, season change.
This creates a really powerful before and after effect. The trick is to lock the anchor frame. You fly the exact same flight path in summer that you flew in winter. If your drone supports it, you save the GPS waypoints. If not, you use visual landmarks to line it up perfectly.
So when they edit it, they can do a perfect cross-dissolve between the seasons.
Yes. It shows the passage of time. It's incredibly engaging for social media. It's a scroll stopper.
System 3, behind the scenes, BTS.
The goal here is authenticity. People trust process more than they trust polish. But again, you don't want to hover over people's heads. The technique is to orbit the work zone, the trucks, the crews, the loading docks, from a very safe distance.
It makes a business look busy and active without being intrusive.
And it keeps privacy intact. You keep it wide enough so you aren't focusing on individual faces, which avoids a whole headache with release forms.
And System 4. The dealership. This one is brilliant because dealerships always want shots of cars driving.
They do. But chasing a moving car with a drone is incredibly dangerous and often illegal depending on where you are. If you're flying over a public road to chase a car, you are breaking the law.
So what's the fix?
You park the drone. You put it in a hover in a safe spot. It becomes a tripod in the sky. Then you let the car drive through the stable frame.
So the drone is static and the car is the dynamic element.
Exactly. It looks premium. It's 100% safe. And the car does all the moving. You're not chasing anything.
Okay, let's unpack this business model a little more, because I think the mental shift from project to retainer is the hardest part for creative people. We're trained to hunt for the big kill, the $5,000 project.
We are. But the big kill is exhausting. You spend 20 hours pitching it, 20 hours shooting it, and 40 hours editing it. A $500 a month retainer that takes you 90 minutes of actual work per month is infinitely more valuable because it stabilizes your cash flow.
It pays the rent.
It pays the rent. And it creates a relationship. Once you're the content plumber, they start asking you for other things. Hey, while you're here, can you grab a quick shot of the staff? Can you do a walkthrough with the gimbal? You become their default trusted option.
Speaking of gimbals, the gear section mentioned add-ons.
Yes. Selling ground content to match the aerials is a huge upsell. If you're already on site with a Mini 4 Pro, pull out a fast gimbal like a DJI Osmo or even a high-end phone gimbal and grab the detail shots. The coffee being poured, the door opening, it makes the package feel complete. It bridges that gap between the sky and the ground.
You know, it feels like we're describing a business that is almost boring. And I know I pushed back on that earlier, but looking at the math and the systems, boring looks pretty profitable.
Boring is scalable. Drama is not scalable. If every shoot is a white-knuckle experience where you're dodging trees and praying for good light, you will burn out. If every shoot is a micro mission where you park in spot A, fly pattern B, and deliver file C, you can do that for 10 years. You can hire other pilots and train them to do it for you.
I want to circle back to the APOWG checklist again, specifically the O for obstacles, the blind obstacle. Can you just really hammer that home for us?
Sure. When you're looking at a scene with your eyes, your brain filters out thin, linear things. It's a biological blind spot. Power lines, guy wires, thin branches. Against a complex background like a forest or a dark building, they become completely invisible on your little drone screen.
And the trick is to find the poles.
You find the infrastructure that supports them. You find the two poles, and you assume there is a wire between them, even if you can't see it. And you treat that entire slice of air as a no-fly zone. You never, ever fly between poles.
So what does this all mean for the listener? If you're sitting there with a drone, maybe you've done a few free shoots for friends, how do you actually start this?
You start by defining your product. Don't go to a business and say, I have a drone. That's like a carpenter showing up and saying, I have a hammer.
It's not a benefit.
It's not a benefit. You go to them and say, I have a system to keep your Instagram feed fresh every single week without you having to think about it. You pitch the relief, not the feature.
And you start with just one location.
One location, master it, build the launch card for it.
The launch card, what's that?
It's a physical or digital card, a cheat sheet for that location, it says. Launch spot A, it's here in the back corner of the parking lot. Max height is 100 feet. The no-go zone is the front patio. The emergency landing spot is the grass patch by the road. You define it once and you follow it forever.
It takes the thinking out of the flight itself.
Which frees up your brain to focus on the framing and the safety scans. It systematizes your operation.
I love that. Okay, we are nearing the end of our deep dive. We've covered gear, patterns, safety, regulations, and the business model. It's been a lot.
We have covered a lot of ground, for sure.
I want to summarize the key takeaways before we hit our challenge for the listeners.
Sounds good.
1. Micro missions are about repeatability, not improvisation.
Leave the jazz for the weekend. Play classical music for the client.
2. Boring safety protocols lead to fast and efficient execution.
You can be fast because you aren't guessing.
3. Files that are named correctly get used. Files that aren't get lost.
Be a librarian. It's a valuable service.
And 4. Don't trade safety margins for freshness.
Pay the tax with variables like the time of day, not with proximity.
Perfect. Now, for the Wingman Challenge, we always like to leave you with something actionable, something you can do this week.
This is a really practical one. I want you to design a retainer offer for one location. Just one. Pick a local business you like. A coffee shop, a car wash, a brewery.
And what do they need to define in this offer?
First, define the fixed flight envelope. What is your absolute max height? What is your minimum standoff distance from the building? Write it down.
Yep.
Second, define the no-go zones. Where will you absolutely never fly? For example, over the patio, over the parking lot entrance. Be specific. Third, define the shot recipe. Which of our patterns work for this spot? An orbit, a reveal, a top-down. Map it out.
And finally,
write your no creep policy. Actually, write out the sentence you will use to politely tell the client no when they inevitably ask you to fly just a little bit closer.
that is a solid challenge. It forces you to think like a business owner, not just a pilot with a cool toy.
And remember, the goal here, the entire goal, is to be the pilot that the brand trusts when they are stressed. Be the low-drama option.
Safe flying, happy editing, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
Stay safe out there. That's a wrap on today's mission, Commander. See above, go beyond, get ahead. For more training, tools, and intel, head to skycommander.ca. If you learned something new, share it, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star debrief.